Hey everybody, it's Miss A, and I wanted to do a recap video on the math concepts that were discussed today. So today in class, we talked about common factors. All right, so put that here. We talked about common factors. And common factors are numbers or are factors that two multiples have in common. So two multiples have in common. So for example, if I have the number 12 and the number 9, and I need to figure out the factors of those, I look for the number or the numbers that they have in common. Now, everyone will always have one in common. So, and what I do is I circle those. And I go, does this one have a 2? There's no 2 here. Here's a 3. Here's a 3. So basically what I've done is I found the factors that they have in common. So factors in common are 1 and 3. Now, we don't have to typically write the 1 because we know every multiple has 1 in common, so they only have 3 in common. Now, this actually sets the students up for when we have to go into fractions and we have to simplify fractions. Being able to do this and find the common factor helps us be able to simplify our fractions. So this is the stepping stone towards fractions. So we do need to really have a good knowledge of this. So let me give you an example using the graph paper. We are going to compare two numbers. So let's compare 8 and 12. We're going to compare the numbers 8 and the number 12 and look for common groupings. So obviously we always start off with the 1. So that's 1 there. Remember, I go 1 and then I label up to 8, and I can only label the boxes and then go across based on how many lines I drew here. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I trace my boxes like that. So I have factors of 1 and 8 because this is 1 and there's 8 boxes across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so now let me do 12 over here. Mark that out there. 1 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Ooh, came pretty close there. Make that here, and it does make a rectangle. So that's 12, so that's 1 and 12. So right now, common factors are the number 1. They both have a 1. They both work out. Now I'm going to go to 2. So that's two rows down. And then I'm going to trace my numbers here. They make a rectangle, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4 across the bottom. So that's 2 times 4. Now let's try 2 here and do 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Trace around my numbers. It does make a rectangle. 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 times 6. So 2 is a common factor. Now I'm going to try 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Trace around the numbers. When I do that, this one does not work out, so I don't even need to try over here because 3 doesn't work out for here, so it can't be a common factor. So I'm not even worried about 3. So now I'm going to go to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Trace around. It does make a rectangle. That's 2 rows. 4 times 2. Now let me try 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trace around my numbers. It does work out. That's 1, 2, 3. So that's 4 times 3. 4 is a common factor. All right, so this is the way that you could work it out using our counting and making our rectangles. Now again, this can help us visually see it, which is good for some students to get an idea of how it works, but we do need to get into the point where we are comfortable with our multiplication tables in order to do this. So I'm going to continue on with this on the page here. So I have 8 and I have 12. 1 times 8, 2 times 4, and I know that it's definitely a 2 because it's even. There's no 3, and that I know from there. And then I'm back at 4, and that's repeating, so I can stop with 8. Now let me go to 12. And I've done 12 before, so I'm not going to waste my time talking my way through it again. I've already done it here. So now that I have all of my factors, and as you can see, when I have 3 times 4, when those numbers are right next to each other, there are no more new set of factors, because now then I would just start getting into repeating 4 times 3, 6 times 2, and 12 times 1. So now I'm going to circle all of the factors that they have in common. 1, 1, 2, 2, and I go from the smaller number, 4, 4, 8, nope. So my common factors are 1, 2, and 4. These are my common factors. And now we also talked about our greatest common factor. Our greatest common factor. And that is the biggest number that they have in common. So the students are going to have to be able to recognize the greatest common factor as well. So looking at these items, 1, 2, and 4, I look for the biggest number, and my greatest common factor is 4. That's the biggest number that they have in common. That is a recap of what we did. Now the students will have some word problems that they have to apply this information. It usually goes towards grouping of items. Let me see here. So for example, let's say we have I'm not going to write out the word problem, I'll just put it here. So we have 36 cars and 24 trucks. So these items need to be grouped, made into groups that are even. So for example, if there were 5 cars, there'd have to be 5 cars in every group, or 3 trucks, there'd have to be 3 trucks in every group, and we need to find out how many groups can we make that have those even numbers. So we would factor this out. That's 1 in 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, 6 times 6. And you see I'm not repeating because they're 6 times 6, so they're repeating numbers, so I know I don't need to go any further. Now I'm going to go to 24. 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, and then there's nothing times 5, and then I'm back at 6, so I'm repeating. So now what I'm doing is I'm finding my common factors. 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 6 and 6. Then this one goes to 9. There's 12 and 12, 18, no, and 36. Okay. So my common factors are 1, 2, 3, and I go down, around, and up when I'm writing them because I want them to go in numerical order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, around, there's nothing there, and now up, and 12. These are my common factors. So if I were to make one group, there'd be 36 cars and 24 trucks. If I were to make 2 groups, here's 2 groups, there would be 18 cars. So 2 groups would be 18 cars. 2 groups would have 12 trucks. So if I were to make basically to make 2 piles, I would have to put 18 cars in each pile, 12 trucks in each pile, and then those piles would be even. They have to match with the exact same amount. So I can't have less cars in one or more trucks in another. If I had 3 groups, I would have 12 cars, 3 groups, I would have 8 trucks. If I were to have 4 groups, there would be 9 cars and 6 trucks. 6 groups, there would be 6 cars and 4 trucks. 12 groups, we'd have 3 cars and 2 trucks. Now, you see how I did that? I basically found the number I circled, and whatever I multiplied it by was how many, let me put the one group up here, 36 cars and 24 trucks. Whatever I multiplied that common factor by is how many would be in that group. So here's one group, that's 1 times 36 is right there. One group, 1 times 24 is right there. 2 groups times 18, 2 groups times 12. So you see it's the number that's multiplied times the number of groups tells you how many belong in that actual, how many of those items belong within the group. All right, that is our recap for common factors. Again, common factors are used to find factors that they have in common, obviously, and this eventually will lead us towards simplifying fractions. So this is super important to master this skill. We will see it again for several units when we get into fractions, so this is definitely important. We use this to help us simplify fractions, and it'll look very familiar. We will just go and use one way. And also remember, we have our greatest common factor. That's the greatest number they have in common. So if I look through 36 and 24, I look through the biggest number that they have in common, or if I wrote them in order, it would be the last number. So for 36 and 24, my GCF, greatest common factor, is 12. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good day.